Mount Everest. The Chinese call it Fei-Fei, a 10-foot tall creature whom they say has a taste for human flesh. Native Americans call it Oma. In Canada, it's Sasquatch. And in the western United States, we call it Bigfoot. October 20th, 1967. Bigfoot research pioneers Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin discover the trail of what they believe is an enormous Bigfoot. They gather what evidence they can, and deep in this pine forest, begin to feel an uneasy presence. They face a dilemma. How will they react if a Bigfoot actually appears?
We came around a bend in the creek where there was a downfall tree. At that point, as we came around the bend in the creek there, this creature was standing beside the creek.
Startled by the looming presence of the creature, the horses reared. Roger Patterson was thrown to the ground, but steadied his camera long enough to capture this legendary creature on film.
They encountered it very close, I think 20, 25 feet away, and Roger Patterson turned on his movie camera, ran after it as far as he could, and finally he stopped and it walked away.
Further perspective on the footage comes from Grover Krantz, a physical anthropologist at Washington State University.
Here is a cast that was made at the, in 1967 at the site where Roger Patterson got a movie of one. And this is what I would consider to be probably an adult female. The creature has extremely wide shoulders, well over 3 feet wide. And I've done some measurements, and no human being at 6.5 feet tall would have shoulders and chest widths to equal that. So there's no way they could fit their arms in the costume. I've gone through the whole film and reconstructed everything, the exact body movements and everything you can. And I'm satisfied that there is no possibility that could be a man in a fursuit. There's just no way around it.
If the film is not a hoax, then this is the moving image of a giant unknown species, probably female, as she passes alone by a river. Her slow retreat suggests no fear of man and no desire to make contact with us. Films, videotapes, and plaster casts of giant footprints do little to satisfy skeptics who believe that Bigfoot is nothing more than hoax and folklore. Scientists demand more conclusive proof, and some believe that proof may be found in the fossilized jawbone of a species called Gigantopithecus. In the late 1950s, an anomalous lower jawbone was discovered in China. Dr. Krantz believes this may be scientific proof that Bigfoot exists.
I've taken this jaw and tried to reconstruct what I think the entire skull would look like. This is what I've ended up with, that this is what the Gigantopithecus skull would have looked like. So I would certainly say the best guess as to what Bigfoot is it's Gigantopithecus still with us.
With mounting physical evidence from all over the world, Krantz believes it's only a matter of time before responsible researchers make the scientific discovery of the century, the capture of a living, unharmed Bigfoot.
Coming up.
We knew right off the bat it had to be some kind of a monster in the lake.
Has science found proof that the Loch Ness Monster exists?
Well, there's a good indication that there may be some strange animal that we haven't discovered yet.
Thousands of sailors and fishermen who've seen them. Enormous sea serpents have populated our oceans and lakes since earliest recorded history. The most popular spot for sightings is, of course, Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. For 1,400 years, residents have searched for proof of a monster they know is there. The celebrated Loch Ness, 24 miles long, its waters so deep, dark, and murky that legend has it this body of water is cursed. Locals will tell you the lake never gives up its dead. Since 565 AD, hundreds have witnessed a creature no one can explain.
There came out of a loch was this huge shape, massive shape, brown grey in colour, huge. And it then zonked back into the loch, and then the loch was flat calm. And what I saw then was waves about 18 inches high going to each side of the loch. And then it just disappeared.
Believe it or not, we saw this great neck emerge from the water, at least about 5 feet, we estimate, above the water, at an angle. Head and neck seemed to be one. Then it moved down with a sideways kind of motion, disappeared. And we hadn't drunk a drop of whiskey that morning.
These witnesses are seeing something strange and alive in the water. But what? Some believe that there are prehistoric creatures in Loch Ness that have survived extinction. What else could explain this bizarre figure, captured in the most famous of all Loch Ness Monster photographs? Taken by a reputable London surgeon in 1933, this was the start of a worldwide search for proof of the monster.
The big question in all this, of course, is, are these animals real? Why don't we catch them? Why do we see them so rarely?
In order to answer these questions, scientists have used many different techniques to photograph or even capture the Loch Ness Monster. In 1975, the Academy of Applied Sciences made headlines around the world with these remarkable pictures. They clearly show a flipper and the body of a creature never photographed before. Could this be what locals affectionately refer to as Nessie? With this new evidence, the search for a living monster intensified. Operation Deep Scan was mounted. Boats equipped with sophisticated radar and sonar worked together to scan every inch of the lake. Then, one underwater scanner picked up a startling anomaly.
Atlantis, what depth did you find target at, over? It started at about 480 feet down and rose up to 320 feet before we lost the target, over.
When we work with sonar, we get strong sonar contacts in Loch Ness. Obviously, we have to resolve that because the two may be linked.
So what is in Loch Ness? The answer may also explain what is in Lake Okanagan, 9,000 miles away in British Columbia, where residents describe an equally mysterious lake monster.
We had slowed down somewhat and moved over for it because it was coming straight for us. As it got across from us, we could see that this object, it was about 30 feet in length, and it was stirring up a tremendous amount of water.
Could the creature that reportedly inhabits this lake be related to the Loch Ness Monster? The sightings follow a similar pattern, going back 100 years when Indians named this monster Ogopogo.
All of a sudden, Ogopogo came to the top of the water. And my husband looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, it's Ogopogo."
We figured it's around 40 feet long, and there's no fish in this lake 40 feet long, so it wasn't a fish.
We knew right off the bat it had to be some kind of a monster in the lake.
Unlike Nessie, an Ogopogo sighting has rarely been captured on film. But in 1987, an American film crew shooting a news documentary on Ogopogo made news themselves when they shot this rare videotape, an unidentified creature rising to the surface of the lake.
Nothing around it, nothing in front of it, nothing behind it.
What did the news crew film? Was it an extraordinarily large fish or a prehistoric cousin of the Loch Ness Monster? Are witnesses seeing the same type of creature 9,000 miles apart? And could there be more yet to be discovered in other bodies of water around the world?
There's a good indication that there may be some strange animal that we haven't discovered yet. Chance will eventually perhaps favor us with discovering everything that lives in the ocean.
If lake monsters actually exist, where did they come from? One intriguing theory suggests that during the last ice age, certain prehistoric animals were trapped in what would later become freshwater lakes. The possibility that these monsters are actually living dinosaurs propels scientists to continue serious research.
Coming up, the world's most bizarre and frightening creations may be forced into our own backyards.
It wasn't a natural thing. It was some kind of, I think it was an unnatural creature.
Volts of electricity. Experiments have shown that this may have been the jolt that created life out of seawater. If that's true, imagine the beasts that could be created in the toxic waste of the 20th century.
I've never seen anything like it. I was very, very scared.
Perhaps the most amazing discovery of all was this creature, captured by Japanese fishermen in 1985. This bizarre carcass was caught off the coast of New Zealand, but the fishermen did not realize the importance of what they'd found. These rare photos were taken before the body was thrown back. Satellite photographs show that thousands of square miles of Pacific Ocean may be heating up. Near Mozambique, a fish thought to be extinct for 2 million years is captured alive. Could all these events be a hint of other monsters yet to be discovered?
When I first saw it, the neck was way out of the water. So I went to turn my boat to avoid this, and then all of a sudden the top of it swiveled. like, you know,